Hi, my name is Packy, creator of Pack Rat's Shack. I upcycle furniture, build out of pallet wood, finish interior spaces, and have a vendor booth for my creations. Welcome to my world. Here we are starting out on the front porch. The porch itself is done up to the last deck board at the top of the step location. So I'll have to build my own steps and install the railing system here. Simple enough, right? Well, I will be pushing my comfort zone a bit here. I've never cut stair stringers before, and I can get more for my money if I just learn how to do this instead of buying the stringers straight out. First, I have to remove my makeshift extra tall pallet wood steps. These probably are even too tall for a giant. You can see that I'm removing the pieces bit by bit very carefully. I just don't want to get bit by a spider or stung by a scorpion. Oh look, here's one right here. Good thing I'm being cautious. And look at all of the spiders I've stirred up. Here's just a flashback on catching you up with the stringers that I already cut. Now I can't take the credit for figuring all of this out. I looked up how to do this on YouTube and came across a video by Daru Dillon titled, "What Nobody Tells You, Building Deck Stairs." She is really clear and instructional, and after learning from her, I pulled it off quite easily, I must say. This is me really not knowing what I'm doing or the best way to get there. So I'm just doing my best to figure it out along the way, and I do get there in the end. But I'm just trying to figure out my best placement for my concrete slab and blocks to get the bottom step at the height I want. You see, eventually, when we can get to the outside details, there will be more backfill here so that Mom only has to take 3 steps up to the landing. The way I go about figuring this out is by placing a stringer to see where it ends and then figuring measurements off of that. Oh yeah, and I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but this is my first time for all of this, so please just cut me some slack. After I get my placement figured out, I just build a concrete form out of some scrap pieces. And I'm not even going to worry about removing it or the wood stakes I'm using to place it because it'll all just be covered up with the backfill anyway. I want the slab to be as sturdy as possible, so I wire in some rebar alternative. These are a different material but strong and sturdy, just like the rebar, only they won't corrode from the moisture. And I've managed to take apart my makeshift steps and get the slab poured. Still haven't got the block work done for the bottom step, but that's because when I checked the slab yesterday, it was still too damp. I also have 4 of the stair stringers cut. The other 3 are in here. So now I need to ream in my placement for the stringers and line them up at the top of the deck all the way down to the slab. This will tell me exactly where I need to place my blocks. And no, I've never done block work before, and it shows. But I did figure that I can get 3 of the stringers on 2 blocks side by side, and then the last stringer and the post on another block. And I realized that the 3 stringers that are on the 2 blocks are a bit closer than they need to be, but there would be too much space in between a stretch of stringers if a third one wasn't in this place. And there's just the 16 inches between this last stringer on the 2 blocks and the single stringer on the other block. My family was visiting during this time, so I took advantage of some of their help. My brother took a break from moving some rocks to help me lift these blocks into place. Then Nova saw how much fun it was frosting a cake, so she decided to help me mud the blocks. Then once the blocks were all set, I got Nova and my nephew Makeo working on some of the post preps for the railing system. I'm showing them how to use the template piece that I used all across the back deck in order to drill the holes in the posts.
Like that. You want to try it down there? Okay, so feel how straight that is. So you feel how it's holding you kind of straight, and then you can pull the trigger and push. And then when it feels like it's getting tight, keep the trigger pulled, but pull the drill back towards you. And you can, but you go in and out just because it'll help bring. So now go back, even though you hit the trigger, pull back, and that releases the wood so that you can then go in all the way now.
They are doing a great job, aren't they? Now I'm showing them how to do it for the center support.
Top or bottom, as long as you know that when we're putting it in up here, that all of the tops are the same as what you did with the two corner posts. And we're just drilling the holes. Go half. Yes, but you line it all up all the way around and clamp it, and you only see how that's not going to go all the way through. We don't want it to go all the way through. So when you're done with your top, and you turn everything over and you reclamp it again from the other side, and you're drilling in from the other side, and then you'll have a hole going all the way through. But if you were to like extend your bit so you could go all the way through this time, then on the back side of that wood's going to be blowout, and it's going to splinter and push out and break, and we don't want that. We want the tunnel to be pretty clean on both sides. So yeah, you get all of this. That's pretty good.
I'm really not good at supervisory positions, so by the time I'm done running around making sure everyone is good on what they're doing, I have to try to get my head wrapped around and refocused on what I'm actually supposed to be doing.
This is a 1.5-inch board.
Here I'm showing them how to drill the pocket holes.
It's for a 1.5-inch board. You see that? So then we tighten up. Tighten up. Tightness. So it doesn't matter which side, just make sure that it's on the same side. Like if we're putting pocket holes into this side, can you put this over there with those? Yeah, that's good. Just the side is fine. Oh, okay. Yeah. So if we pull this up like this, and we slide it down all the way to the base, and then with your fingers you're feeling side to side on the base so the hangover is basically the same. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you tighten 2 outside ones. And those, again, you're in and out, and you pull all the way out, and that helps release the wood, the loose wood, so it cleans out the bit so you can keep getting deeper. This stops you where you need to stop. So you just can check it from time to time to make sure it's still on the 1.5-inch mark. But you do that twice here, and then you flip the board upside down and you do it twice. So you're just going to make sure the 2 that you did is still facing you. That way you know you're on the same side. You only need to do it to one side, but both ends. So you guys can work on that.
While they're doing that, I'm setting into installing that last deck board, so now I can just hold my stringers right up tight to them when I'm installing them. Now we're having all of our work done so far inspected by the boss lady. She cracks me up.
Wow. Nice.
If that isn't one of the
Good handrails. Woohoo. Oh my, that's even stable.
And yeah, there are still 2 pallet wood steps, but those are only for use until the rest of the backfill is done and up to that level. Now with the inspection done, we were released for the day and rewarded with a good dinner.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Here's a close-up of my 17-year-old nephew, Makeo. Something interesting about him is his love and talent for art. Show him some love and support by checking out his Instagram page to see just how amazingly talented he is. Now everyone has left and I really need to get this project finished. I need to cut my 2 corner posts and get them set. I need to cut off sections at the bottom in order for the posts to partially rest on the deck boards, but also to have a leg run lower so that they can be lag screwed into the rim board. Yep, it fits. But before I secure it in, I really want to seal up the joints or the cracks here with some Lexel. Now I can cut the top rail to help me position the corner post.
You're not gonna bite me, are you? I don't want to get bit.
Miss Franny hasn't earned all my trust yet.
Little feisty girl.
She does have a feisty personality, which is why the name Franny came to mind. Something about her just put me to mind of Franny on the old sitcom The Nanny.
What's wrong, baby? I'm sorry, I'm always working, aren't I?
So now that all of the elements are in place, I can run the railing system. I guess I should just make sure that the posts are all drilled for these lag screws first. Now I'm at the point of setting the post at the top of the stairs. To tell you the truth, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to set it. I kind of had an idea of the look I was shooting for, so I'm just figuring it out as I go based on what makes sense to me. And I take the time to finish running the cable railing on the first section that Makeo and Nova started on. And this is where I stop while I process how I want to tie in the tall corner post to the top of the stairway post. Okay, so I'm back at it and have somewhat of an idea. I just need to create the plan now. So I start by taking measurements to the point I want them to meet. Then I start building my idea, which adapts along the way as I figure things out. And this is why I don't show every piece that I'm cutting. The vibration of the saw causes so much movement in the camera, it makes it a little hard to see. So I keep having to take a minute to think things through, and I realized I needed to rip the second 2x4 down in order to have it at the dimension that I wanted in the corner that I'm creating. I do like the way that it fits in now, so I go ahead and screw the two pieces together in order to give me the good solid inside corner that I'm looking for. So now that I have it all figured out, I just have to secure everything into place. So what I've just learned on this very short stretch is you can't go ahead and do both of your crimping ends at the same time, because if you go to get one started on one side, it's too rigid to really get it going on the other side, and you just can't work with the lag screws and the wire in that scenario. So is what I learned to do instead is go ahead and crimp one side, which I'm choosing it to be the left side, because there's a second scenario at play that makes these just slightly different. Since this is right on a corner and the lag screws tend to go in about this deep, which is another 1/2 inch or so past the front, that means that they would be butting into each other from both sides. They would, since I'm wanting to keep straight lines, that means that inside this corner they'd actually be hitting, and one wouldn't be able to go as far as the other. So is what we have to do there is make sure that one end, which I'm choosing it to be this side because it's not going to be as much of a visual spot on this side as it is going to be on this side. But anyway, one of those sides, the threads are going to be showing about 1/2 inch because it won't be able to lag all the way in as deep so that it doesn't hit this side. That's going to be all the way in. So because we have that scenario going on, it really works out beneficial to do it the way I'm doing it now anyway. Because when you have something like that where the one side shouldn't go in as far as the other, then it's hard for you to keep even rotations on both sides to have it end where you want it to end. So we have a nice tight crimp on our left side. And we didn't get any of those mixed up. We will go ahead and get this one put in
almost all the way. We will leave a couple rotations, or at least it's short from one rotation, so we can tighten it up slightly if we need to at the end. But we can go ahead and put this one in almost completely. Now we put this right side in almost completely to the point where we want it to end, which is about a 1/2 inch short. So we're going to leave it a 1/2 inch plus about one rotation short right now, because after we get it crimped in, we will need to do about a rotation on each side to tighten it up. So see, all this rigidity of the wire itself is not there if you plan it like this. So now the only part of it that's bad is you don't have the leverage of the ground to really get this crimped in. So but we got it crimped in. So there's one. We're going to come in a little ways and do another one. And I try to make sure my crimper is in a different position. So now you have it a little bit loose, and this is where you can tighten it up. And now you have it.
How are you? Yeah? How's it going?
I'm feeling like I'm coming into the home stretch with this bottom post being the last post I need to set. But then this is shortly lived. I'm realizing that there are some measurement and angle differences between the top rail and the bottom cable rail. This means I'm going to have to account for each cable rail location being slightly altered so that by the time we're all the way at the bottom, there isn't a huge difference. That's the simplified and hindsight explanation, but in reality, I was stumbling through the discovery and how I needed to work it in order for it to still look good.
Inches from here to there. And that means the cables aren't going to have the same distance between them at the bottom as they would at the top. If we do that. So I don't build steps every day, do I? Or install posts and railing every day. I can do it. I can. I know I can.
My bottom cable has to run right along the same angle as the steps, as close to them as possible in order to not have too large of an open triangle. And my top cable needs to run along the same angle as my top rail, aesthetically speaking. So every cable in between needs to be adjusted at that bottom post just slightly in order to cohesively cover the span and be visually appealing. But that's not all. I have to wait for my tool to arrive from Amazon before I can proceed with actually drilling these angle holes. But I have plenty of other things to be doing instead of wasting time driving into a hardware store. But it's all marked out and ready for my return to the project as soon as the tool comes in. Today, my angle drill guide has arrived, so let's get back to this project and drill these holes, install the cable rail, and call it a wrap. I do initially cut all my cables to the same length that I used for the bottom cable, but then I realized that as they were going up the post, they get shorter and shorter. It sure is a good thing that I started at the bottom, the longest stretch. I can always cut some off, but I would have wasted cable if I started at the top and some of them were too short. I guess there'd been too many days since I was struggling figuring out all of those measurements between the top and the bottom, knowing that they were changing along the span. But it's an easy fix and I just keep adjusting them down in length as I work my way up. Well, it's a wrap. We're finally finished. And I finished a week before the deadline that the insurance company put on me, even though there was a bit of confusion with the underwriting department sending me a letter of confirmed cancellation a month before the deadline was even here. At any rate, I sent the pictures of the completed project in for the back railing and the front steps and railing, and the agent has confirmed that we're reinstated, and all of it was done a week before the deadline. So I'm hoping everything is settled and all the confusion is gone. And as of right now, I don't think I have any other deadlines looming over me other than the obvious one, which is with the bank. So that's
Alright
a
guys,
blessing.
thanks for hanging in there with me. I realize it was kind of a long video. I really struggled with cutting the footage down and try to get it as short as possible. And there was just a lot going on, you know? So it was nice having my family visit. They really did help me out quite a bit, several hours every other day, so that we accomplished more than what I could get done in my own time, which then gave me time off to visit with them more and to actually be able to go off for a hike and other adventures with them. So that was really, really nice. As always, thanks for your viewing support. I really, really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe out there.